The hype for Doom: The Dark Ages was pretty big. This, in my opinion, is due in part to the success of the previous titles, as well as the legacy of this franchise. But, when put side by side, the recent entries can seem pretty similar to one another. The game loop is basically always the same. Arrive somewhere, kill all the demons in sight, collect everything, and move to the next area. All of this can become repetitive, and you could say that it would gradually make every subsequent entry pretty bland. Well, let me tell you that you would be wrong, and also right. Hi guys, this is Jay. The revival of Doom has always fascinated me. Being able to take a simple concept from another era and remake it to today's standards while keeping its entire identity is quite an achievement. What's also outstanding is the fact that they continue to push the envelope further, to a point where you start wondering if there is anything else to innovate on without losing the identity of Doom. After Doom Eternal, I thought they added pretty much everything they could without losing sight of what they were doing. Turns out that I was wrong. Looking at the games side by side, they can seem pretty identical. After all, the core experience is the same. But if you look close enough, there's some core game loop and gameplay changes happening between them. I will assume that you are familiar with the past entries and talk only about the Dark Ages for this particular video. But before we talk about the game loop, we need to understand what this new entry brings to the table. The first major difference in Dark Ages is the shield. You can now block pretty much every attack coming your way, and the green ones can even be sent back to the attacker if you time it correctly. This adds a completely new layer to combat, since you were never able to play defense before. The shield can also be used offensively, to slice up the weaker demons, destroy armor, and stun larger demons. Additionally, can sometimes be used to help you reach some elevated or faraway positions. Then there's the melee weapons. You can now acquire and use different melee weapons, each one of them bringing specific damage, cooldown, and perks to the table. The Gauntlet, for example, focuses on escalating single target damage and has low cooldown, while the Flail does area damage and is perfect to shatter the enemy armor while reinforcing your own, but comes with a higher cooldown for each strike. This brings us to the arsenal of weapons at the Slayer's disposition, some of them being familiar while some are completely new. Much like the melee weapons, they all provide something different. The shotguns and pulverizer are perfect for bunched up demons who are close to you, while the Impaler and the Chain Shot are better for medium to long range engagements. They all come with their own perk tree, which allows you to customize your weaponry and build synergy between your shield, melee weapons, and guns. Something we will discuss in detail later. Finally, one of the biggest additions are the mechs and the dragon, of course. They both have their own unique gameplay mechanics. The mech being able to fight hand to hand with huge demons, and the dragon allowing you to fly at high speed and fight in the sky. These two elements have a huge effect on the gameplay loop, something we'll talk about in the next section. As I said, the goal of each Doom game is pretty much the same every time: to rip and tear. What is interesting is the path you take to get there. They managed to vary it just enough in each entry to keep it fresh and stay in line with the identity of the game. This one is no different. The way you move around and engage enemies feels different from the past entries. It feels a lot more aggressive with things like the shield dash that can get you in and out of enemies' reach really quickly. It also felt faster for me. With the removal of most glory kills, you are rampaging through the demons at full speed, without interruption. On the flip side, there is now a defensive component in combat. This feels very good for the close quarter combat. Most of the time, the enemy doing the attack will be stunned, giving you an opportunity to go on the offensive. For ranged attacks, it gave me this bullet hell feeling. where you navigate the projectiles and find the right one to parry. This also gives you an opening to counterattack. Overall, this mechanic feels very appropriate for Doom, and makes you approach combat in a different way. The way the weapons interact with different enemies is also something new. Demons can now be equipped with armor. As it takes damage, the armor will become orange-red, to the point where it's ready to break. Here enters the shield throw, which is perfect to shatter the enemy's protection. As mentioned before, it can also be used to dispose of smaller enemies and stun bigger ones, who are stripped of their protection. It can be thrown even while firing, which makes it a really effective offensive tool against the horde. The energy weapons can dispose of the shielded enemies really quickly. They can also chain lightning between the demons and even enter an overcharged state, boosting their fire rate or accuracy. The fire mechanic from Eternal has been tied to the shotgun and flail, which can help you replenish armor while you dispense huge amounts of damage. Some of the weapons have special synergy with the shield, like the Shredder. Firing on an enemy while the shield is embedded in them makes each round ricochet on a nearby demon. I found this to be really interesting, since it gave me some incentive to use my entire toolkit together instead of just sticking to one preferred method. All these perks are acquired through the aforementioned skill trees. There is one for each weapon, melee tool, and for the shield, of course. The mech and the dragon are things that shake up the entire game loop. These dedicated levels really stand out from the quote-unquote normal ones. The Atlan allows you to go toe-to-toe with some titanic demons. It's a nice change of pace, and the combat mechanics are very well implemented. I must admit, I got a little Titanfall nostalgia here. The dragon, Sarat, takes you to the sky at full speed. This level is particularly thrilling, as you are alternating between underground combat and air traversal. But I must say that the combat when you are on the dragon itself really felt lackluster. You can only move in certain directions, which makes you feel like you are in an on-rail shooter, and that does not really fit with the Doom setting. The turret segments are similar, but at least you get some epic last stand moments. All in all, Doom, The Dark Ages is still some pure gaming candy like its predecessors. New elements like the shield, the dragon, and the new arsenal forge its unique identity among the Doom games. The changes in the game loop and the mechanics that come with it help to keep you interested and engaged throughout the campaign, even though most of the engagements are similar and the goal is pretty simple. In other words, you now know why Doom, The Dark Ages is so repetitive and yet so good. But what do you think? Have you played The Dark Ages? Let's talk about anything Doom in the comments below. Thank you so much for sticking with me up to this point, and as always, I will see you in the next part of our Odyssey.